Well, this Thursday, many of you will hopefully be gathering around the table with friends and family, but some of you may have difficulty hearing the conversation.
Yeah, and this goes young and old alike. And hearing loss is a touchy subject. Many times people don't want to admit that they're struggling with it. But our senior health correspondent, Monica Robbins, decided it was time to break the stigma and the silence.
Yeah, guys, it is no secret. I have been fronting rock bands since my teenage years, but I will admit I never really gave my hearing a thought until I was at a party and a friend of mine who is my age, which is pretty young, showed me his hearing aids. And I thought, you know what, if I went through a hearing test, I could show my mother-in-law how it wasn't a big deal. But then I realized I really needed that test.
So what brings you in to have your hearing tested?
I think I'm losing my hearing.
Okay.
You know, I play in a couple of bands pretty much every weekend, and I'm noticing that I have to turn the television up louder, and I'm starting to ask people to repeat themselves again because I don't think I can hear them.
Would you say your hearing is equal between your ears? Do you notice that one ear is better or worse than the other?
I think it's equal. The other thing, though, I'm noticing is I have ringing in the ear constantly.
Well, then we'll go ahead and get started with the exam. So through the headphones, I'll be playing tones. It'll kind of come in a 3 series, like beep, beep, beep. Just give me a click anytime you hear it. They will get very soft, so even if it feels like it's just barely there, go ahead and click the button.
Okay.
So right now what we're doing is looking for Monica's audiometric thresholds in both ears through air conduction or through the headphones. So to do this, we're playing a series of tones at different pitches that essentially assess different areas of the inner ear hearing organ, and look for the softest tone that she can hear. This helps us to determine the type of hearing loss and then ultimately determine the best treatment path for the patient.
How bad was I?
I always tell patients there's no pass or fail, no good or bad. It's just what your hearing is, and then what will we do about it? So, you know, based off of that, we did see hearing loss in both ears today.
Now that hearing aids are available over the counter, based on my hearing loss, is that what I should go get?
I first and foremost encourage people to come get a professional hearing evaluation so you can see where you're at. The thing with those is that they aren't going to be prescriptively amplifying based off of your hearing aid. They're essentially turning up the volume. They're marketed for people with a mild to moderate degree of hearing loss, which you have based off of paper, but the prescriptive hearing aids will definitely provide more of a, personalized listening experience. New research is coming out with correlations from untreated hearing loss to cognitive decline. Patients will isolate themselves because it's not enjoyable to have conversations in groups or do the things they enjoy because they can't hear and communicate. You know, there's a lot of things in life, like our other systemic medical conditions, accidents that can happen, things like that where we have pretty limited control. This is something that we have, quite a bit of control over. We can treat it.
Yeah, so as much as I wanted to blame my brain tumor for my hearing loss, no luck. So this is my test. The yellow highlighted line is normal hearing, and the pink line is where my hearing loss currently is, and it is equal in both ears. Now, it's really good information to have, and while it's not horrible hearing loss, it is significant enough that I do qualify for hearing aids. And coming up at 6, I'll explain the process of how that works and some tips for loved ones who have a family member who are just not ready to go get that test.
Well, getting hearing aids and actually wearing them are two totally different stories. Ask me how I know. I have that conversation from time to time. But how do people know if they might be at risk?
Well, definitely like me. If you're asking people to turn up the TV, like, I'm asking Deke all the time and he's yelling at me to turn it down. But Dr. Bonezzi said, most people deal with it for 7 to 10 years and then wait another 7 years before going to get the hearing test.
Oh, wow.
So if you are turning up the TV, asking people to repeat themselves, having trouble discerning conversations or one voice in a group, or hearing dialogue on the TV, or if you're told you're speaking too loudly, make an appointment to get your hearing tested. Now you have options. And again, you can go to any of the stores and get hearing aids that will turn up the volume, which is not bad, or you can get the prescription ones, which essentially they're Bluetooth now, they're fancy schmancy.
Wow.
And, you know, I'll explain how that process works coming up at 6.
All right, lots to get through. Thanks so much, Monica.
Sure.